Jeff Gonzer, formerly of KMET, morning radio partner with Paraquat Kelley at one point and Ace Young at other point. I got to work with both of them.
Tell us what was the road? How did you end up getting on the Mighty Men?
Oh, hoo-yah. It's a good question. I started at a radio station called KPPC in Pasadena, which was the first rock and roll FM radio station in the LA area.
College, the community college?
No, that's KPCC. This is KPPC. It was originally owned by the Pasadena Presbyterian Church. We turned it into the first rock and roll FM station. I worked there for a little bit, part-time. Then I came back and I worked there for a couple of years. We were all fired. I don't know if you know the old movie FM, but the plot actually came from us all getting fired by the general manager. So I don't know how long you want the story, but I wound up getting hired at KMET the first time. Then I worked at KLOS for 4 years doing the morning show, and then I got fired, as happens to us all in this business, and was rehired by Sam Bellamy to work at KMET. They brought Ace back about 6 months later, and then we became a team, and that's really when KMET took off.
What year was it?
That was, I started the end of 1976. Ace, I think, Ace, you came back in 77, right? 1977, I believe, is when we were paired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took the bicentennial off in Santa Barbara.
Right.
The next year. Yeah.
Okay.
1977.
Amazing time in LA.
And then it was. And the thing that I find most exciting, and the thing that I keep on relating to, is that KMET was the Facebook of the 70s and the early 80s. We were a watering hole. We were actually a communal spot where people got information. They communicated with us as much as we communicated with them. And it was a tribe. It was Jim Ladd's tribe. It was my Moral Minority. It was Paraquat's Craziness. It was Ace's News. It was the Paraquat signatures that Ace was talking about earlier that went to the White House to stop the eradication of the marijuana plants in Mexico. It was a way for us to all communicate and be together. And I think radio isn't like that anymore because it doesn't have to be. So many other ways to distribute and disseminate information, so many other ways to get music, that it's just, you know, it was a time, it was a thing of its time. And the fact that so many people tonight still love the radio station after it's been off the air since 1987, and that pay their respects and their love and their support of Pat and help him with his MS is just amazing.
Yeah. Every day must have just been an absolute adventure going to work. I mean, did you really appreciate it then? Did you know how special it was?
No, we knew how special it was, but I don't know if we appreciated it as much. We had so much, we just had fun. We just screwed around. I mean, sometimes we didn't keep the eye on the business part of it too well. And, you know, it was a business. And there were people in New York who expected a profit. And when we were giving them the profit, all was well. When the profit started to diminish a little bit, then things got a little different, a little strange.
What are some of your greatest memories about some of the artists that would come to the station? Any special memories?
Yeah. Springsteen finished his 1985 tour at, I want to say, the Coliseum. I don't remember. I know he. Yeah, it was the big outdoor show. And Nils Lofgren was my guest the morning of the last concert of this enormous tour that was worldwide. Ace and I brought 300 people to England to see, not Ace, I'm sorry, it was Pat. It was Kelley and I took 300 people on a chartered plane to see him in London. I talked about that a little earlier on stage. And later on that tour, when they finished in LA, Nils Lofgren from the E Street Band was on the air, and he says to me when we were in a break, "Do you mind if I play a song?" And I said, "Dude, are you crazy? Of course." And he said, "I wrote a song for the band, for the E Street Band, to thank them for this amazing tour that we were just on. Nobody has ever heard it." And I suddenly realized that Nils Lofgren is premiering, first time ever, a song that's so heartfelt that he's singing it to the rest of the E Street Band. And that was an amazing moment with Rock and Roll Star. Lindsey Buckingham, when Fleetwood Mac just started to take off in that iteration with Lindsey and Stevie, came in to record promos. And he came in early to be with me, and he was so sleepy because rock musicians don't get up at 8 or 9 or 10 in the morning. And we went into the production room, and he just couldn't get it together. And he pulled out this giant bag of weed and slammed it down on a turntable, on a tape deck. And he said, "Would it be all right if we smoked something?" And I said, "God, yes, of course." So we went into this Paraquat lounge we had, which was this airlock between the music library and the studio where we were supposed to smoke pot, so the smell didn't escape. And we went in and got loaded. He was right. We went in and recorded a whole bunch of promos. There were a bunch, there were Chrissy Hynde coming in with a real attitude in the afternoon show with Jack Snyder. Cheech Marin was a good friend, came on the show many times, just like really funny. Father Guido Sarducci was a good friend. He came on a lot when he was living in LA. There's so many people who came through there. I'm sure I'm not even close to coming through. Phil and Odd, when Thin Lizzy first brought them through. We got to meet and got to know, a whole bunch of people.
You were their bridge to the
In those days, they sold a lot of records. That was the way they made a living. I don't know how they do it anymore. Right. Downloads.
Pizzas and the towers and
and getting a song on a radio station with 2 million people listening, you sold a lot of records.
All alone.